Kenneth, thank you very much. Thank you for joining the Connected Fleets Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue our program, and we do that with Ridecell. Ridecell is one of the biggest technology players, also one of the most exciting ones. And today we have with us Kenneth Malmberg. Now I have to look, and Kenneth Malmberg is the Senior Director, Market Development and Alliances at Ridecell, and he is going to talk about what comes after fleet management as we know it. And the answer, I can already tell you that, but the details will follow from Kenneth. The answer to what comes after fleet management is IoT fleet automation. And so, Kenneth, we are eager to know why the answer is IoT fleet automation. So you can start your presentation, and after that, we will take some questions from the audience, and the audience can submit the questions via the chat function.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. So I said hello, everybody. I'm Kenneth from Ridecell. So just a few words. Ridecell is a software as a service company. We provide a mobility management platform. So with our solution, we enable our customers to run a variety of different shared mobility services, digital access to vehicle, as well as automating their overall fleet operations when it comes to maintenance and repairs. And in the presentation for today, I will focus more on the fleet operational aspects. I'm outlining some of the current challenges with managing large fleets, and how by automating some key operational tasks, significant value can be gained. So just having a look and looking back at the market. So we have an increased number of vehicles are connected, and then we are also taking more and more data. I mean, if you look over the past 5 years, if you look at aftermarket devices and aftermarket solutions, they have come down in price significantly. At the same time, we also see increasingly like OEMs coming out with embedded connectivity and providing access to the data. If current data volumes, it's estimated like you do 25 gig per vehicle per month on average, and that is when you do an extensive canvas read, and this is just going to be larger. So up to McKinsey saying like up to 50% more data volumes in the next 10 years. But just having the data is of course not the answer. It also brings with you challenges. If you have an avalanche of data, it might be difficult for a fleet manager to actually see like, hey, what is the critical data? What is the interesting data for me? Looking through that, everything that comes through. Also, what we see that data is not just coming from the vehicle. Data is also coming from different sources, and it's fragmented. It's not necessarily standardized. So you can action it, and that is probably one of the biggest things where fleet automation can come in, is that it can make the data actionable. So another thing is that even now, when you get the data and a fleet manager gets the data, and if they sift through it and they see, okay, I need to act, they many times need to go to different systems to create maintenance and repair orders. There is really that they can do everything from one system, and it's also sometimes difficult to get one overview of in what status the vehicle actually is. So this is where we have the promise of what do we feel and what do we think that the IoT and automations can do. And as we said in the in the introductions, it's like fleet automation. It's something which comes after fleet management, or it's actually a bolt on to the fleet management. Because what we see today, we as said, we have more connected vehicles, either through aftermarket devices or through embedded connectivity. Well, what does connected vehicles do? They create the raw data, read it from the OBD or from the CAN bus directly. So that's where we need the fleet management system. So what the fleet management is excellent at doing, they take the connected vehicle data, they put it into nice dashboards. You can create reports. It creates the insights. If you look at fleet management systems today, probably a lot of them are used for track and trace. You want to know where your logistics fleet or your fleet is at any moment in time. You want to know the mileage of the vehicle, so see across the fleet. You probably want to see the consumption of the fleet, to see that do you have there are cases of fuel theft, so you companies, large fleet owners are tracking the consumption. With that, yes, you get good insights of the state of the fleet. If you're a bit more advanced, you look also at idle time. You might look at driver behavior, because it has a direct impact on wear and tear, and you might guide your drivers to be better drivers. However, what the fleet management system really does, it doesn't really act at the data which is coming through, and that's where the fleet automation comes in. So the fleet automation it creates triggers from the data, various data sources. And it's not just about the diagnostics data from the vehicle. As we said, there are many sources of data. So you have driver data, for example. If you're looking at a logistics company, first of all, is the driver authorized to drive the vehicle? Do they have a valid driving license? Have they done all the driver training? All these things that you need to show to be in compliance. There is also asset data. There are inspections. There are technical inspections that you need to do. There might also be OEM information around service intervals or recalls. And then when you have business data, so you can say there are two cases where the fleet is the business, like in the leasing and the rental, or where the fleet supports the business. And especially if you are where the fleet is the business, you have the business data as well that you want to act on. Is someone who's renting the vehicle and long-term rentals of, for example, vans, are they keeping up with the payments? If not, you want to take an action. And then last but not least, as we said, we have the diagnostics data from the vehicles. And when we take all this data, we can then go into three types. There are the reminders, where it is kind of technical inspection, something which is happening with regular intervals. Scheduled events, it might be 20,000 kilometer service. And then we have the actionable ones, which are the triggers when an event happened. And that's where we are going more into the DTC and the interpretation and recommendation. And that is, it's not a fleet management system today. Yes, of course, they take DTCs, but very rarely do they act on the DTCs or make the interpretation of actually what the DTC mean, or what it might need, what it might require in terms of repairs to the vehicle. And this is where we are working with partners like, for example, Hella, who's helping us. So if we can collect the data, we do the automation, which is a set of routes, and we are using partners like, for example, Hella, who's helping us do the interpretation of what the diagnostic trouble codes, what they actually mean, and what actions will be needed. And then with all this information at hand, we can then have predefined jobs, because if you're looking at many fleets, if you're taking like regular maintenance, it is pretty standard what it does. If you take 20,000 or 40,000 kilometer service, you know what needs to be done. So you can already predefine that job. You can also say what parts are needed. You can even estimate what cost in terms of what in time and motion, how long should that job take, and all this can of course be automated. So freeing up the time for the fleet manager to do more value add work. So what we are saying is, like with fleet automation, with these regular tasks, they can easily be automated just by setting rules, and also acting on vehicle data and also business data. So once you have the jobs created, you of course need to get them executed as well. And there usually you have a third-party repair network, or if you're a large fleet, you might still have your in-house workshops. Or as we see that a lot of our customers, they also have mobile workers, and that is where you go to the full level of integration and automation. That also includes where you can where you integrate also with the third party repair networks. So more and more of these workshop management systems, they are providing APIs that we can integrate with. So theoretically, you can, if you want a no control point in between, you could take it from a regular maintenance being totally automated, even to the point where it says the time and booking the time at the workshop, and then creating a job for having the vehicle delivered to the workshop at that time. And that's where you have the second part, which is like if you have a mobile workforce, mobile technicians, or also drivers that are responsible for the fleet, you can have that automated and digitalized as well, where the system is clever enough to see what's the location of each worker. What are the skills of those workers? What jobs needs to be done for the day or for the hour? Put those in priority order, and then also put the right job to the right skilled workers. So that's just the basic of it, but just to show a few like automation actions. So what can it really do? So we take, like in all fleets, you can automate the vehicle accidents and response. So we can detect a collision. If there is a collision, you can gather the relevant data. You can even, if you have a form, it can create the accident report. Of course, you notify the fleet manager. There are different ways of notification. It can be in the console. It can, of course, be through another device. And you can also, as you know the location and you know what has happened, it can automatically also request a tow car to be sent to the location, and then of course the vehicle automatically needs to be taken out of service, so it needs to be put in a not active mode in the system. Another example is logistics. If you're looking at driver reported issues, again with rules, you can say you can automatically create the repair orders, remove the vehicle from service, reserve a backup vehicle. What we're seeing also in the market is that a lot of these delivery fleets are getting contract with the leasing providers that are under certain SLAs. If the vehicle is broken or is taken out of service, a replacement vehicle is automatically put in and it's delivered to the depot or to a preset location. We have some other ones. You can of course also look at like observed driver behavior. If the driver continues to fail, or you see that the driver behavior deteriorates, you can go as far as you lock that driver out of the vehicle. They are not allowed to drive that vehicle anymore in the extreme case. And then with rentals, it's also the automation of who gets access to the vehicle, and this of course also holds true. This process also holds true for if you have your own delivery vehicle drivers, to check the driving records, check the watch lists. If it doesn't go through, then you know, they should not get access to that vehicle, which if you have digital access, that's something you can control. And this is very much bringing us into the more security aspects. And I think a lot of us in the industry have seen the BSI guidelines coming out, like how to prevent malicious use of commercial vehicles. And if we are taking out some aspects like daily vehicle inspections, the immobilization, remote immobilization of vehicles, a lot of it can be actually require telematics, and a lot of it can be automated and digitalized. So the driver verification, the immobilization, the daily show that you have done, that the driver does the vehicle inspections, go and kick the tires in the morning before they start their delivery tour, and in that sense shows that you are in compliance. And there are also other security aspects that you can do. So, for example, what we are seeing, sense driver location. The van is locked when the driver, they take the device with them, and when they're a certain distance from the van, it automatically locks the van. There is actually quite a few attempts of theft of delivery vans, and you know, some of them are also successful. But with this, we are adding this security layer. If for example, we think that the vehicle has been stolen, or it's outside of the geofenced area, the system can of course detect that as well with through the geolocation, and we can disable key, and we can immobilize the vehicle. The vehicle is of course not immobilized while it's driving, but as soon as the ignition is switched off, it will not switch on again. Some other examples is we can detect with the telematics, we can detect tampering, can be notified the fleet manager. We can immobilize the vehicles. We can also do the same with the stolen vehicles, and even automatically send this to the authorities. So these are just some examples of, in addition to kind of regular maintenance work, we see these use cases can also be automated, easily automated, and add to the efficiency of the daily operations. So that was, Stephen, what I wanted to say, but just a few words. So yes, we are Ridecell. We are a Silicon Valley company, headquartered in San Francisco, but also with a very strong presence in Europe, with offices in France, Germany, and Spain. Today we are 180 employees globally, and we provide a platform with three core parts, if you see. So the access control, the digital key, contactless rentals, car sharing. Second part is what we have more focus on today. It's the workflow automation, and then we have a third part as well, which is the security aspects around the vehicles. So that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Thank you. For the audience, if you have a question for Kenneth, submit your question via the chat. We still have time for a few questions. First, Kenneth, so if I understand correctly, Ridecell is a global company.
Yes, we are. So we have, of course, a strong presence in North America. As I said,
Okay.
we also have a strong presence in Europe with direct offices in Spain, Germany, and France. And we also have for Asia, we also have a unit in India serving that area.
Do I understand correctly that what you are saying in your presentation is that today connected technology is used inefficiently?
Well, it inefficiently in terms of operations, probably efficiently if you look in terms of reporting and getting the status of the vehicle, and also you can do on driver behavior, which is increasingly being used also by large fleets, but inefficiently in the sense that you still require a lot of manual tasks, like pretty mundane tasks and tasks which are easily automated, and where you're still putting in like manpower. And that's where we think that's when we see with all the challenges coming with where we have a changing powertrain and electric vehicles are coming into the fleet. Isn't that what the fleet manager should focus on the actual fleet policy and maybe not sitting and creating repair and maintenance orders, because those things can be done more efficiently.
So your technology is not making the role of the fleet manager obsolete?
No, that's not what is the purpose. It's actually to help the fleet manager and let very skilled fleet manager focus on tasks which is more value add, and you automate these tasks which are pretty much everyday operational tasks which can be easily automated.
For your technology, do you need to install something in the car or not?
Yes, we of course. If we don't have the data, we are blind. So
okay.
But I said the diagnostics data and the vehicle data is one part, but what is also increasingly used and used by our customer is, of course, all this operational data behind it. So you need to check. Like for security, you need to check before the driver goes in that he actually has access to the car and should have access to the vehicle. Equally, like business data. If someone is taking a long-term rental and they're not keeping up with the payments, you probably want to lock that vehicle down, immobilize it, and have someone picking it up. So yes, we do install hardware in the car. It's absolutely vital for us to make the rules. But it's I just want to emphasize, it's not just about the vehicle data. It's about the operational data and taking it, cleansing that, and actually analyzing it.
Does this also mean that if I'm the fleet manager, for example, we had the case study of Siemens just before. If I'm the global fleet manager of Siemens, I'm working with 3 or 4 leasing or fleet management companies. I have 4 or 5 car manufacturers. I have insurance companies and so on. If I would like your technology to make perfect sense for my fleet, that also all those partners need to be a customer of yours?
No, not necessarily, as long as we have access to the data. So they were getting into the question, who sits on that data? Sometimes I think I mentioned that I said that we also see the market moving where some pretty large fleets are moving to a leasing model where they are actually leasing under SLAs. Where the leasing provider is giving the commitment that if one vehicle is taken out the service, within 60 minutes you have another vehicle. In that case, probably the target for this solution is the leasing provider. If it's that the fleet, depending on what the relationship they have, but they're actually sitting on all this operational data for their fleet, then then they are the target of the solution. So it's just like who sits on this valuable data that we need, because we need some data to create the rules.
Okay. How do you see the developments in 5G technology for fleet automation in the future?
Well, you get of course with 5G, so the bandwidth, you have more bandwidth, you get more data through. So if we're looking now, we are looking very much at like diagnostic trouble codes, like odometer and this type of data, which is the standard, let's say the standard, if you can say standard telematics data coming through today. Well, I see with 5G, you can of course use more video for also to actually detect repairs. So we see those systems in the market. I mean, they're still pretty expensive, but they are being used by rental companies, for example. Mm-hmm. We get APIs from those systems. Of course, that data can also be used to create the rules. So it's the richness of the data. When the pipe gets bigger, the richness of the data can also grow.
Talking about, you were saying at the moment, perhaps the systems running on 5G, etc., are perhaps a little bit expensive. How expensive is your technology, or what can you say about the cost structure? Is it that you pay a fee per car? Is it that you pay a fee per month? Is there something that you can share with the audience?
Oh, Stephen, that's a leading question to give the pricing strategy in a section. But generally, generally these models tend to work, and we also see it's also a little bit of a geographical difference in what the business model prevails. Doing business in Europe, it tends to be that the parties mostly prefer a model which is per car. We seems to be ingrained. If you are looking at other areas of the world, I mean, sometimes it's per event, or sometimes it's even kind of a rev share, or so there are different models. I would like to say, and we can of course discuss this in length, but if we are looking at Europe, most of the time we tend to talk about like, hey, how much does it cost per vehicle per month?
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for sharing the information. The half hour is already gone. So Kenneth, Malmberg and Ridecell, thank you for the support. And Kenneth, thank you for the insights and answering the questions. If you have questions for Kenneth or Ridecell, then you can also find Ridecell in the village where they have a digital booth, and you can contact Kenneth afterwards, I'm sure. You can now go to the sessions section to enter the next sessions of our Connected Fleets conference, and they will give you more insight in how to monetize the data from the connected vehicles. There is one session with Weijo where Benoit Joly will present how to turn vehicle data into monetizable value and business. And in the other, there will be a case study presentation of PPG Industries about how they are using connected vehicle data. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.